Hello there. Today, I want to tell you a story that's painfully real. A story that no one wants to believe. But once you've heard it, you'll never be able to forget it. Have you ever stood in front of a dog, tied up, helpless, its eyes pleading with you, its face full of sorrow and silent despair? Because it knows it's about to be sold for meat, to street vendors, to people hungry for its flesh. And have you ever asked yourself, do they have souls? Do they feel pain? Do they hold grudges? And what happens to the people who abuse them? Who hurt them for a bit of profit? This is the story of a man who sold dogs right in front of a temple one quiet afternoon on an empty road. And just a few days later, he became the main character in a terrifying tale of violence, karma, and the cruel abuse of creatures that have done nothing but love us. This story was told to me by a close friend. He lived on the outskirts of Long An town, where there's a 200-year-old ancient temple. The incident happened over 10 years ago, but even now, whenever it's brought up, people still shudder as if it just happened yesterday. That afternoon, a man named Ba, a dog trader, pulled up on his motorbike in front of the temple gates. Behind him was a steel cage with 3 dogs inside, one golden, one black, and one white with gray spots. They were huddled together, trembling, their eyes filled with terror, as if they knew their fate was sealed. But Mr. Ba didn't stop to visit the temple. He stopped to set up shop. Calmly, he parked his bike, placed a small stool on the sidewalk, pulled out a cigarette, and lit it. His relaxed demeanor stood in stark contrast to the fear and desperation of the 3 dogs in the cage. He knew the temple gate was a common spot for foot traffic, worshippers, market-goers, passers-by, and more importantly, it was the busiest street in the late afternoon. Just then, a monk stepped out from the temple. It was Venerable Tree Min, a kind-hearted monk known for preaching compassion and virtuous living. Seeing the scene, he gently approached the man and softly said, "Sir, this is a sacred place. These dogs, their eyes are full of fear. Please, don't keep them here. And if you can, show them mercy, let them go." Mr. Ba sneered and replied, "I'm just doing honest business. I don't steal. I sell people, buy. What they do with the dogs is their business. Don't lecture me about karma. I don't believe in any of that." Then he angrily stood up and began packing his things, ready to leave. While he was gathering his belongings, Venerable Tree Min happened to lock eyes with the black dog in the cage. It was staring at him, unblinking. Its gaze was full of desperation, as if begging him, "Please, save me. Save us from this man." As Mr. Ba rode off with the 3 dogs on his bike, a strong wind suddenly howled through the street. Dust and leaves swirled everywhere, and the sky darkened abruptly, as if warning that something ominous was about to unfold. On his way home, Mr. Ba managed to sell 2 of the dogs. But the black one, it thrashed violently, biting a customer's hand, so no one wanted it. Reluctantly, Mr. Ba locked it up in a cage in the corner of his house, grumbling under his breath, "Damn cursed dog, you're dead tomorrow." His wife, Mrs. Num, heard him, but didn't dare say a word. She had always feared things like this. There were stories in her family about people who were haunted after working in the dog meat trade. But Mr. Ba was different. He didn't believe in karma. He didn't believe dogs had souls. Around 2 a.m., a long, eerie howl pierced the silence. But strangely, it didn't come from the cage where the black dog was kept. It came from afar, from the direction of the cemetery, nearly 300 meters away. Mr. Ba shot up from bed, cursing. What devil's howling at this hour? Grabbing a flashlight, he stepped out into the yard. Everything was strangely still and quiet. He turned back inside to check the cage. And then, he saw it. The cage door was wide open. The black dog was gone. He swung his flashlight toward the gate. On the brick floor, a trail of bloody paw prints stretched out, dark, thick blood still wet, leading toward the village path. From the distance, another howl echoed through the night, louder this time, and filled with anguish, but not just pain, hatred. Mr. Ba froze. He didn't know why, but his legs began to slow, and then stopped completely. His flashlight beamed toward the cemetery, and right there, he saw it. The black dog, standing still, staring at him. He couldn't see the body clearly, but its eyes, those glowing red eyes, were locked on him, burning with fury. It didn't move. It didn't howl again. It just stared, as if to say, I remember your face. I won't forget. Since that night, when he saw the black dog standing in the cemetery, staring at him with burning red eyes, Mr. Ba had changed. Not out of fear, but because he couldn't sleep. Every night, exactly at 2 a.m., he would suddenly wake up, not because of howling, but because of something stranger. Scratching sounds, the sound of claws, scraping at the wooden door, scraping the walls, sometimes from beneath the bed. At first, he thought it was just rats, maybe a stray cat, maybe his wife walking around. But then, it started happening at the same exact time every single night. And the scratching grew louder, clearer, closer. Whenever he jumped up to check, everything around him was still. Too still. He whispered to himself, "That's strange. I could swear something was clawing all around me." The sounds haunted him, night after night. His body weakened, sleep-deprived, until one night, he finally passed out from exhaustion. And then he dreamed. In the dream, he stood on a pitch-dark country road. No moon, no stars, but he could still see a steel cage, the very one he used to lock up dogs for sale. He walked toward it, and inside was a dog, its belly bleeding, neck bruised and raw from tight rope, its eyes glowing red. But this time, they were weeping, blood streaming from its eyes like tears. It didn't howl, didn't bark, just panted heavily, shivering, its body covered in festering wounds. He woke up in shock, shirt soaked in sweat. His wife was still fast asleep, but outside the window, the scratching returned. And this time, breathing, shaky, angry breathing, right against the wall, his hands trembling. He grabbed the flashlight, shone it toward the window. Suddenly, everything fell silent. He stepped closer, looked out into the yard. Stillness. Too still. He turned back toward the bed, but then noticed blood dripping onto his hand holding the flashlight. Panic froze him. Slowly, he looked up, and there it was. A dog's head, black, soaked in thick blood, hanging from the ceiling, staring down at him with eyes full of rage. The next morning, Mr. Ba collapsed with fever. His entire body burned up, eyes red, heartbeat wild. Mrs. Num rushed him to the hospital, but the doctors couldn't explain it. Likely stress, maybe vertigo, they said. Yet while lying in the hospital bed, delirious, Mr. Ba kept muttering, "I didn't kill it. I only sold it." It kept staring. It never blinked. His whole family was terrified. A nephew, desperate, ran to the temple and found monk tree men. The monk listened in silence, then sighed. Every living being has a soul. They all feel pain, especially dogs. They're our friends, our guardians. If your uncle is suffering like this, it's likely he harmed one or sold it to a slaughterhouse. And he did it near a sacred temple. His karma is heavy. If he doesn't repent sincerely, no one can save him. After more than a week bedridden, Mr. Ba had withered away, sunken eyes, back hunched, as if something invisible weighed down on his soul. Whispers began circling the village. He's possessed. The karma of killing is too heavy. He stopped eating meat altogether. Not just dog meat, but even chicken, pork. Just the smell made him nauseous. One night, Mrs. Num found him sitting in the middle of the yard, bathed in moonlight, his face dazed, whispering, "I'm sorry. Forgive me. Stop staring at me." At first, she thought he was sleepwalking. But no, he was awake. And in his eyes was the look of someone who had seen the other side. Then came the night of the full moon in the 7th lunar month, a sacred day in Eastern culture, when wandering souls are believed to return to the living world to visit loved ones. That night, after everyone had gone to bed, Mrs. Num was startled awake by barking, but the sound came not from the yard. It came from beneath the bed. Trembling, she called out to Mr. Ba, but no answer. She pulled the blanket aside, shone her flashlight. He was gone. The back door was wide open, and muddy footprints led straight out toward the cemetery. He walked like a sleepwalker, holding a stick of incense, muttering with every step, "I'm sorry. I was wrong. Please forgive me." He stopped before a nameless grave, a place where villagers buried animals, beaten, abandoned, no headstones, no names. But somehow, he saw something there, a shadow, sitting silently before the grave, back turned to him. It looked exactly like the black dog. He dropped to his knees, tears streaming like a river. "I was wrong. I thought selling dogs was just a way to make a living. I never thought you could feel pain, fear, or longing. Please, if you're still there, forgive me." Suddenly, the shadow turned. But this time, it didn't howl, didn't snarl, didn't glare. It simply blinked once, turned its head, and walked into the fog, then vanished. Mr. Ba collapsed, right there on the grave. The next morning, they found him lying peacefully, a faint smile on his lips, tears still fresh on his cheeks, as if finally he'd been released from a nightmare. My friend told me, after they found Mr. Ba sleeping at the cemetery, right beside the nameless dog graves, his health improved dramatically. He became calm, joyful, gentle with those around him. And from that day on, He stopped eating meat, any kind of meat. He became a lifelong vegetarian. He gave up the dog trade entirely and started volunteering at the temple. Every morning, he'd do small chores to help the monks and the elderly. At noon, he'd help his wife sell vegetables at the market. And the most remarkable thing was, whenever he saw someone selling dogs by the roadside, he'd spend his own money to buy them, not to resell, but to rescue. He'd also gently persuade the sellers to find a kinder way to make a living. Because, above all, he knew better than anyone what he had gone through back when he lived a different life. When my friend told me this story, I was shaken. I didn't know whether to believe it. It sounded too surreal. But then he asked, "Have you ever truly looked into the eyes of a dog inside one of those metal cages?" Here in Vietnam, you can often see trucks, metal cages crammed with dogs. And I've seen them. The eyes, they haunt you, full of sorrow, despair. So human, they can't speak. But in their silence, you see it all. Fear, pain, hope, and the desperate plea for mercy. I'm not telling you this story to blame anyone. I just want you to remember one thing. No living being was born to suffer. No creature was put on this earth to become a delicacy or a test of human bravery. The story of Mr. Ba is the story of a man who once believed killing was normal, who scoffed at the idea of karma, who thought, "I'm not the one killing, I'm not to blame." But the truth is, no one is blameless when standing before another creature's suffering. You don't have to be a monk. You don't have to live an austere life. All you need is, when you see a trembling soul before you, pause, place your hand on your chest, and ask yourself, if it were me, what would I feel? And if there truly are dog souls who died unjustly, who passed in agony, and if hatred can linger in the form of spirit, I believe they don't return to seek revenge. They just want to be remembered as living beings who once loved, who once trusted, and who were once abandoned. What do you think about the above story? Please leave your thoughts for me to know.